I'm gonna say Happy New Year. It's February.
I know, Happy New Year.
How did that happen?
How are you going?
Really well, thanks. Yeah, really well.
Good
Just
stuff.
getting my ducks in a row to get cracking again.
Excellent. And have you managed to get the program kicked off?
Not yet. Not yet. I've been trying to rescue my tiny house building business, which is struggling with the current economy and building housing crisis market here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's been my focus for the last 6 months, but now I've put that aside and I've just launched a tiny house or new legislation workshop.
Right.
So that's happening in a couple of weeks' time, and I've got 11 paid people coming in
Oh,
person so
fantastic.
far.
Good stuff. Love it.
Yeah, so I got 2 more weeks to promote it, and then hopefully that'll kick off. So
Oh, that's really good. Good. There's
I
movement.
roll on.
Yeah.
Mm.
Morning, Ashley. Morning, Josh.
Hello,
How you going?
pretty good.
Good stuff. Hey, Josh.
Hi.
Hello. You got anyone else signed up yet?
Just two people, no one new today.
Okay.
I'll take two for now.
Good stuff. I'm just going to give a couple of minutes before we kick off in full. So, who's done inner work, like real inner work on themselves before, just out of interest? Who's dug deep? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit, Ashley.
Yeah, definitely not as much as I probably should.
That's all right. It's all good. So today's session is going to be a little bit different for you to break it up a bit. So I'm just going to wait another minute or two because it's easier for me to get on a roll when I know that people are here. So a few people that said they were coming. So let me get my screen sorted. So can you see my screen? Yeah, cool. Just go to present mode. Here we go. If I pressed I am recording, yeah, good stuff. So today's session is going to be a little bit different, and this is all about you essentially. So a few weeks ago, James said, oh, would you like to run a workshop in the group? I was like, yeah, cool, that would be fun. So what do you want to do it on? I said, let's just do something a little bit different, because obviously James is amazing in the strategy space and everything that he does there with the sovereign consultant and all of these ways in which to be able to grow a successful business for yourself as a solo consultant. But I want to go a little bit deeper today into what is underpinning this drive and desire in you for wanting this. I'm going to be talking you through some things. It's going to be a hands-on workshop today. So I want to make sure if you've got pen and paper and you're all ready, because I'm going to be asking you to dig a little bit deeper into you. We're not going to be focused on your business at all today. This is purely about you, so you get a much greater understanding. And this will all unravel and make sense as we go along. But we're going to be doing some pretty cool exercises, and you're going to, I'm pretty sure you're going to get some juicy stuff out of this for yourself today. So finding your why and your way. Let me move on. Now I'm presenting on here today, so totally different to James. So what we're going to uncover today is we're going to look at the difference between your why and your purpose, and I'll talk you through what they are. We're going to go through a finding your why exercise, which is going to really dig deep, and we're going to go into determining your purpose, and then we're going to review and reset at the end so that you can have greater clarity on what it is that you can be doing to get more out of yourself in your business and really get yourself on track. So there's some certain signs that happen, and I'm going to talk, as I say, go into more detail about what your why and your purpose are and why these are important. But there's certain signs to look out for if you're out of alignment with these. So the first one is chasing shiny objects. Yeah. You're looking at what other people are doing in the market. You're looking at all of the different things that are available to you, and they start to kind of get your interest, and you think, oh, I could go after that. I should be doing that. The next one is around lacking consistency, because it's hard for you to stay on track and to do the things that you, again, think you should be doing, because there isn't the purpose or the meaning behind that. You can start to feel disconnected with your business. You start to be like, why am I doing this? Is this really what I want to be doing? And because of that, you struggle to make decisions. And on top of that, it can lead to burnout, because you're doing lots of things, yet are they the right things? Are you focused on the wrong things? And there's resistance and struggle in there as well. Like, you want to be doing these things, you think you should. Again, it's this whole you should be doing. And success feels empty, because you can be having all of the wins in the world, yet it doesn't feel fulfilling for you, and it doesn't feel maybe that enjoyable for you. And it can just leave this feeling of like, oh God, okay, this isn't really what I expected. Yeah, it's not giving you that fuzzy feeling inside. When you're in alignment with your why and your purpose, your motivation's higher, you're more energized, you're waking up, you're excited about what you're doing, you're really focused on what you're doing. You've got far greater resilience, because you're kind of quite blinkered. It's like, I'm going this way, and are you coming with me? Easier decision making. You can tap straight into, is this the right thing? Am I doing this? Has this really got the purpose behind it? You have stronger relationships with people, because your energy is aligned with what it is that you should be doing. You've got more impact with what you're doing, because again, that energetic and the passion behind it. And you've got a level of flow and creativity, because there's this excitement there, and you've got ideas, and you're bursting with energy. And because of that, you open yourself up to more opportunities, and success actually feels like it's authentic to you. So on this spectrum at the moment, just put in the chat bar for me, how aligned would you say you are right now? And this is just a feeling. As I said, we haven't gone into the depths of your why and your purpose, but purely from a top line level, how aligned do you believe that you are right now from this situation? So from these things, say out of 100, percentage wise, in the chat bar for me. Let's have a look. Really aligned. 100%, 80%, 75%. Yeah, cool. Now, as I say, this doesn't actually matter really in terms of your percentage, because even with you, Ashley, 100%, in 6 months' time, that could drop down. So this is going to help you to really tap into and recenter and regroup around what it is. Are you on track, and are you going this way? And there have been times in business where I felt 100% aligned, and then I've chased a shiny object and I've gone in a certain direction and I've been like, oh God, no, this just doesn't feel right. And James wrote a post about it last week. He did exactly the same himself towards the end of last year, which was, you know, doing more and adding more, and it wasn't really aligned to what he wanted and the direction that he wanted to take. So you can see that there'll be times where you might go off on a tangent, but this will really help you to regroup and recenter. So I believe that there's the two, what I call inner success drivers. Now, your why and your purpose, and together this is your knowing. This is like your inner wisdom. This is the thing within you that you know. And James talks about this in posts before. He's spoken about it in the Sovereign Consultant, in the training there. And it's about this knowing from within. And we all have this, and it's all part of us. But it's whether we can actually explain it, whether we can actually pinpoint what that is. And this today is going to help you to be able to do that, to really understand exactly what this knowing is. Because what happens is that we are, you know, you're ambitious, you're driven, you're going out there, you're taking action, you're doing all of the things. And sometimes we can get so caught up in that, that's where we start to go off track. So your why is part of you, and it's an ego driver, it's ego led. Yeah. So this isn't about anything else other than yourself, and it's about this internal motivation that you have. And this is buried deep. This goes really back to situations or events or experiences that we had way back in childhood. And when these things happen, we take on meanings and beliefs, and we form a world around us, or a thought of the world around us and ourselves. And these can be driven from really amazing things that happen to us. And as we grow older, we want to recreate some of that feeling that we had. And on the other extreme, it could be something really traumatic that you want to run away from, and you don't want that to happen again. Now, because this ego-led driver goes way back, it's buried a lot of the time in our subconscious, which is why I ask you today to allow yourself to go through the process and dig deep. Because when it's held at such a deep level within us, our conscious brain doesn't want us to go back there a lot of the time. So it's buried, it's kind of stuck there, and we really want to unearth it. Now, this isn't about unearthing it for any bad reason whatsoever. It's purely about being able to articulate what this is. And it also will allow you to tap into a feeling that you can create more of, a shadow value, something that you want to create more of, because that will be the thing that can drive you forward once you can actually acknowledge that. And sometimes that can be like a really icky thing. It's like, I want to be recognized, or I want to belong, or I want to feel valued. Yeah, it can be something, or I want to have control. And that's the driver essentially that sits behind it. But as I say, it's kind of buried deep, and this is why we're going to go through an exercise to really tap into exactly what that is for yourself. Now, on the other extreme, or the other side, you've got your purpose. Now, your purpose is something that's much greater than you. This is your bigger mission in life. This is what you do and who you serve, and the impact that you're wanting to create on the world by what it is that you do. And this is about the impact that you want to make, the legacy that you want to have, the thing that you want to become known for, and your contribution to the world. And so this is non-ego led. So although this comes from within you, it's what your contribution is to others, and you'll always do more for others in the world than you'll do for yourself. So James is tapping into this side at the moment. yeah, with the work that he's doing with the children in the orphanage, yeah, tapping into that purpose side about the serving, of being, of contributing, this thing that's bigger than you. And when you can pinpoint both of these elements and combine them, you become a very powerful force of nature, because everything makes sense for you. You know exactly where you're going, exactly what you should be doing, exactly why you're doing it and what's sat behind it, rather than getting caught up. And it's easy for us to get caught up in following leaders, following mentors, following people around us and thinking, I want that. But why do you want it? Why would it be important to you? Now, this is a statement said by a guy called Viktor Frankl, and he was a neurologist, psychiatrist. He was a survivor of the Holocaust. Have any of you read his book, Man's Search for Meaning? No? It's a really, really cool book. So when you know your why, you can endure anyhow. So basically, he was in the concentration camps, and obviously it was the worst experience that you could ever go through. And when he was in there, he was wondering why it was that you would have two men come in of equal health, equal build, on the face of it, absolutely, you know, on par. Why was it that some of these people would come in and die very quickly within, you know, a week or two, and why other people would just keep going and surviving through the worst experiences? And he brought it back to the fact that it was all down to meaning. The people that survived purely had meaning in their life, and they knew that they were here for a greater purpose than themselves. And so this is where the inner drive and the motivation comes from, because it's beyond you. And most people will go through life not really understanding what this is, and they'll talk about being purpose-led, but they're not really sure of why it sits behind. And again, I'm going to go into that with you. So we're going to go through a couple of exercises now. So first up, have we got any questions so far? I know I've kind of gone through that top line, but are you all following? Have you got any questions? All making sense? Yeah? Okay, good stuff. What I want you to do is I want you to grab your pen and paper, and I want you to write down what your goal is, like what your ultimate goal is. So James, for example, has, you know, he wants to take 100 people to build $1 million consulting businesses. Yeah, 100 people to hit 100,000 a month. But what's your goal? Who wants to share their goal?
I'm happy to.
Yeah, go on then.
Mine's to make an impact. So improving people's lives, like life's the way they're currently living. So the actual environment.
Yeah.
They're, you know, improving when people live in a space that they're happy with. Everything else kind of flows from there. It's kind of the whole philosophy of having, you know, the clean car and everything. Car's a mess, your life's a mess. So just creating and improving people's environment.
Okay, cool. It sounds like it's very purpose-led already. What's yours, Ashley?
I think this is the part that I always struggle with, because I think the thing that comes to the surface the most is like wanting to create a business that will give me freedom in every aspect and
Yeah.
that I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that's not like a specific, I don't know, goal for the business, I guess, or like, you know, the impact that I want to have. Like the biggest thing at the front for me is always, I guess, my experience of it. Like I guess like self-driven. I don't know. I guess that might be the ego-driven thing where it's like, I want the freedom and I'll do that by helping other people.
Yeah. So let's just focus on you. So that's right. What you said, like what you really want is you want freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. The freedom to be. Yeah. Josh, what about you?
Exactly what Ashley just said. I basically wrote down creating a simple, sustainable business that, takes less than 20 hours to manage and feeds my lifestyle. So it's really what Ashley was saying. And then when Rebecca was talking, I felt the need to come up with something that was the other side of it, which is why I'm doing that piece of it. But I could do either, but Ashley's what I went to first.
Yeah, this is purely about you. Don't worry about what anyone else writes or says. Be brutally on. I want you to be bloody raw with yourself. Cut through any bullshit. What exactly do you want?
Yeah, I mean, I quit my job to create a new, something that would feed the quality of life that I wanted. So it's exactly what Ashley was saying.
Good stuff. All right, Steve.
Yeah, I think like you guys are saying, there's like a selfish why. I don't mean that in a bad way, but like, I just think I just want to know my family's okay. The whole concept of just being okay, especially financially, and that it's not freedom for myself, but the people that are closest to me. That's the deep thing personally. And then, people I serve, there's, I got a couple things going on, but anyway, but the core personal driver is that.
Okay, cool. Now the next part, and we're going to keep going, and we're going to keep going with this until you start to well up, right? Until you start to get emotional with this, because we've got to get to the core of what's really driving you. Yeah, because that why is an ultimate
goal. What if we're already there, Greta? Sorry? What if we're already at emotion?
That's all right, but we'll pinpoint why. A lot of the time people will say that what they want is for their family and for their kids, and that on the high level, absolutely. But what's the real driver? And that's the bit that I want you to get to. So now you've got your top line goal, and I want you to write the first thing that comes to your head. I don't want you to overthink this. I don't want your conscious brain to kick in and to justify what you've written or anything. I want this raw and real for yourself. You've got your top line goal. Now I want you to ask yourself, why is this important? And just write down. And again, don't overthink it, because it will be right. Whatever you write down, as long as you're brutally honest with yourself, will be right. There's no wrong answer with this. Put your hands up when you're done. Just the first thing that comes to your head. Steve's done. You done, Josh? Done, Ashley? Yeah. Rebecca? Yeah, good. Okay. Look at what you've written and then ask yourself again, why is this important? The answer to that question. Why is that important? Again, don't overthink it. Just go with it. Put your hands up when you're done. Ashley's done. Josh done. Rebecca's done. You done, Steve? Cool. Now another layer deeper. Why is that important? Again, the first thing that comes up for you. If you feel that you hit a circular point, then we can unravel that, and I'll step in and help guide you. Again, just go with that answer. And this is going to involve you going back in time, as I say. This is going to go back. Hands up when you've done that and you've answered that. Yeah. And again, why is that important?
I feel like I'm going in circles.
Okay. Who else is going in circles? Anyone? Doesn't matter if you are. If not, just stay. We'll come back to you, Josh. Hands up when you've answered that. Yeah. And again, why? Why is that important? Hands up when you're done. Done. Go a level deeper. Why is that important? Who's starting to get a bit emotional? Yeah? Go the next level. Why is that important? Who feels like they've reached the end? Okay. All right, Josh, let's start with you. What's your ultimate goal?
So where did I end up?
You said about freedom.
Yeah, so freedom, quality of life, that's where I started.
Yeah. Why is
And so
that?
then what's that?
Why is that important?
Yeah, so the next level was space to live and to feel free.
Yeah.
And I went from there to escape this feeling of always feeling stuck or trapped.
Yeah.
And why is that important? I said to be here to support others, to be their grounded support. And
Yeah.
so it starts to get into this idea that I've always felt like I'm here to kind of be the pillar of support for the people around me.
Why?
And so that felt really good. Um, and so my next one was my purpose is to help others find their true purpose, which is sort of like by being that grounded support, I could lead and guide others. But then then I was like, well, why? Well, then it was to give me my own self-worth and to give my own life its purpose were the next two that came after that. And I was like, well, that just went all circular back up to the beginning. And I was like, well, I'm not doing that to make other people, to make me feel better about myself. But that was the circle that I went into. And I was like, well, something's not right there.
When was the first time that you felt that you had to be there to support others and to be that pillar?
Ah, I don't know. Um, so I started doing my own doing this kind of self work a few years ago, and I started with Tony Robbins in that world. Um, and so when I started doing my why, that's just what felt right to me when I dug in that moment. But was I already feeling it before then? I'm sure that I was, but it wasn't feeling good. It was more stressful, right? I was more, so it has to do with being a parent, I guess, is where it probably comes from.
Goes back deeper than that.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I was the oldest child.
And
But I wasn't a very good brother. So I can't say I was guiding them in that moment in time, but maybe I felt I should and I just didn't know how, and so I didn't do it well.
mm-hmm. So when you ask yourself honestly through these questions, so you went back to like the Tony Robbins moment and what have you, and like his stuff again, very powerful, right? But there's this doesn't happen by coincidence. It happens for a reason. So when you got to the point and you said, say to me again when you said about the pillar for others.
Yeah. So to be a pillar of strength for others, so that sort of grounded support for others.
Yeah. Why?
So my why for that was to help them find their true purpose in life.
Why?
That's where I got stuck last time.
Yeah.
That's where I went circular.
Allow yourself to answer it. Why? Why? Why is that important for you to do?
I don't know. I guess I've always felt like my purpose was to help others have that, to find their own qualities, to feel good about, I don't know, so if you think about your kids, I want my kids to find their way in the world and to be happy. So
Yeah. What about you?
well, so that's where I went into the loop. So it was giving me my own
Yeah.
self-worth to help
But
them find their self-worth. But I mean, I would,
yes. Where does the self-worth come in for you?
I don't know, I guess knowing that I help them find their way so that they're happy. I'm just happiest myself when I'm at peace with the world. And so I'm at peace with the world when I'm grounded and centered. And then if I'm at peace with the world, then everything's great. I can take what comes at me.
Yeah.
And when I'm in that place, I can also help others find their way. I can guide others to find their way
When were you not at peace with the world?
most of the time.
Yeah.
because I live in that state of tension.
Yeah. When was the first time you felt that state of tension?
Farther back than I could possibly remember my whole life.
Yeah. So tap into when the first time that was. You don't have to answer this necessarily now, but this is going back. This is going back to that feeling of frustration, that feeling, yeah. And so this is what I want you to tap into.
So whenever I've done this before, and people always tell you to go back to your childhood, I can never remember specific events or specific times. The only thing I can ever come up with, and I can't remember it, but it's the only thing I can ever come up with as a memory, is that my parents had, when I was, just barely alive, had a nurse, like a night nurse, whose job was to train me to sleep. And so I was left to cry it out, which is not unusual. But, through that, I basically learned that expressing your emotions, right? Crying wasn't the way. And the way was to figure it out yourself, right? Quietly, just sit there quietly and muscle through it. And so I can't remember that, but that's always the feeling that I come back to when people tell me to go back, because I don't remember a specific event that I lived through.
Yeah.
But that always resides with me, that feeling of being left alone to solve it. And that's always how I've been, right? It's just quiet. I don't share in that kind of way. So
what belief did you take on at that time?
that it's not safe to express yourself, your feelings, your emotions. Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of had to hold together. So that's the tension piece, right? You kind of have to hold yourself together at all times.
Yeah. And now go back into what you answered before.
Yeah. Okay.
You need to be a pillar of strength. You need to be the one that's there. You need to basically keep everything together. It all stems back. It all goes back to a moment in time.
Yeah.
And so now when you look at this from a pure selfish point of view, what do you get from doing this? What's the opposite? So in the moment of that, crying it out, not being able to express yourself,
What did I get in that moment?
yes, what are you getting out of what are you getting out of that now, like by doing what you're doing?
So what am I getting out of that experience now?
Yeah, so you go back, right? So you go back through your stories now, right? And the pillar of strength thing and the holding it together, it all goes back to a moment in time where you had no choice to hold it together because you know, what did you take on in that moment? You had a night nurse to help you. Like there's certain things wrapped up in that, and that impacts now what it is that you want and what you're doing. So that they're disconnected. They're connected, but they're disconnected. So we say we want freedom, and you said, I want freedom, I want the lifestyle, I want to be able to, you want to be free. You're at peace when you can. What were the words you said when you said I'm at peace?
I'm at peace when I don't feel that tension and I just feel grounded.
Yeah.
And connected. So I guess I'm looking I lost that connection, right? Because I was told it's not safe I took on I assumed through that process that it was not safe to express yourself. It's not safe to connect. And so I guess I'm ultimately looking to be connected and to reconnect through this process.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what I want.
Yeah.
To get away from that feeling that I've had since I was born, basically.
Yeah.
To be free of that feeling.
So that why now taps into purpose, and we're going to go through some questions on purpose as well, which will help define that more. But you go into a purpose state because you've taken on something that you experienced as now something that you want to get away from, and you're helping others in that way as well. You know, when you can do this and you can help others to be free. You said like the second or third answer down.
Yeah. So my ultimate why is to feel free to I guess, to get away from that feeling, to feel free to be able to connect and feel open and not, yeah, to get away from those negative feelings that I had, that I took on at a very, very young age.
Yeah.
That's my ultimate why, is to be free from that feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can resonate with that.
Cool. Stick with this and journal on it afterwards as well.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that come up in this as you go through, because you're tapping into places that you probably haven't gone to for a really long time in your mind, and really asking yourself, as I say, some real brutally honest questions about what are you here to do? Because the more you can recreate that feeling of being, you know, of service and of helping others in that as well, the more that you can create of that feeling, the more motivated and driven you are. This is why it becomes this driver. Yeah, because you want to create more of that feeling of the freeness and the self-expression.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Steve.
Can I just say, I mean, we're just jumping on the call here and getting into the depths of things. Josh, thanks, man. I mean, like, that's being that vulnerable, open, and Rita, relentless questions, but you're right there. I appreciate that, man. I mean, thank you. That's pretty wild. So appreciate the openness.
You're welcome. Yeah, and I do not take this lightly, you know, sharing this and what have you, because it's a lot. It's a lot. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah. Thanks, Josh.
Cool.
Yeah.
How did you go, Ashley?
I think pretty good. I didn't get deep like Josh, but maybe that's just, I don't know, a block on my side. But so I obviously started with like the freedom aspect of it, building a business that gives me freedom. And then I wrote, because time and energy are valuable, I want to do what I want when I want, and yeah, just have that freedom, I guess, like time and energy freedom.
Yeah.
And then building on that, I want to live the best life I can and enable my family to do the same. So like just life enjoyment. And then from that, be satisfied, die content, knowing I did my best and lived life fully, go to bed satisfied each night. And then the next layer was like, be the best I can be. And then the next layer was, I don't want to waste anything or miss out on anything. So that was like kind of as deep as I could get.
Why is it important for you to be the best you can be?
Sorry?
Why is it important for you to be the best you can be?
I think so. I don't regret anything. I think I wouldn't want to. I like knowing that I've always done my best. I guess I don't like the feeling of having not done my best in like any aspect of life.
Yeah. What happens if you're not at your best?
I would be disappointed in myself
Why?
because I know I have more potential that I didn't live up to. So I guess it's like a standard, maybe not living up to my standards and what I know I'm capable of.
Now go back, way back. And think about that then, doing your best, being the best you can be.
I think I always was like the best. Like, I don't know how to not be sound like arrogant, but like in classes and stuff, I was always like top of class. So I guess I always had that expectation on myself. I'm like an international rep athlete, so like the highest I can go in my sport. And I think my parents expected that, but there was also like no pressure from them. But they were obviously very pleased that I was good at like everything I did.
There you go. Because what was it like when they were pleased?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I was happy, I guess. Probably I would have felt seen probably.
Uh-huh. Keep going.
So yeah, like felt seen, felt supported. I think, yeah, that would be like a big thing. I guess they would have been proud probably, and I probably liked that feeling. Like when James says, well done, that's always like a nice thing.
Yeah. And so so when you go back to your first kind of memory of that, what was the story and the belief? So that's exactly right. This, what you said then about being seen, and in your own words, what that means. Because if that's the feeling that gets conjured up inside of you, how can you create more of that? And again, this is why it's so ego-led. Yeah. Because when you can create more of that, that's why you'll get the drive. So it's no surprise that you're the top of your field, because you're driven so much by that. But it's the ego driver. The real thing is the fact you like being seen as the best, and so you'll do more of it. But it comes from parents being pleased with you, proud of you, and it's that. So allow yourself to own that. So that when I was talking about the shadow value that sits behind it, it's that guilty little thing that you get. It's like your naughty little secret, like, I like to be seen. I like to be recognized. I like to be the top of this. And you said it then, when I'm in there and James says I'm doing a good job. Yeah. You feel good about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that's maybe why, like at the start, I said like how it's always been about me. And like I grew up as an only child. So it's like people say it's like only child syndrome. Like everything's about me. And I'm mainly doing it like for my enjoyment because I like the business. I like being the freedom that comes with it. I like having the money that comes with it. So it's like, I think I have always battled with that because it always comes back to me. Like, obviously, I like helping other people. And I don't have kids yet, and I'm sure it'll change when I have kids, but like it's kind of always been about me, and I probably just need to not resist that.
Your why won't change. It's this thing, it's the thing within you, right? And it's you get a lot out of it. Other things might change, your values might change and things like that when you have kids. But a lot of who you are, when James talks about it, says people don't change. This is the stuff he's talking about. This is this, it's you are you. So allow yourself to own that. This is around ownership of self. Yeah, to be able to get more of yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes that feeling of like, I remember the first time I tapped on a shadow value, and you can do this as well when you ask, when you get frustrated about something, yeah, you think about the last time you got frustrated, and you ask yourself, what was I not getting in that moment? What was it that I was not getting when I was frustrated? And you can go within that and go deeper within that, and that will pull out some things as well. But you've touched yours then about the being seen, like that's a big thing for you, so it's good to own it. And yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and that makes sense too, actually, because like I'm married, and if anything's going to trigger me, it's if I don't feel seen and heard. I've started realizing that recently, like just digging deeper, and it's like it always comes back to that. So I guess it makes sense that would be my why with business as well.
Yeah, it impacts everything, and this is the thing. It's basically part of our life story, and like when you get into certain behaviors or habits and these things repeat over time. Yeah. So you can always go back to, if you're feeling frustrated in your business, or if you're asking yourself, okay, what should I be doing here? How can I get more out of this? Go back to, I want to feel seen. So how can you be seen more?
Yeah, I guess that's the hard question.
but it will be the thing that pushes you forward to keep going when you might be like, you know, and you would know this far too well, I'm sure, in your sport. You know, you go to that inner thing. It's like, right, I'm gonna do this now.
Yeah, that makes sense. And just thinking on that too, like the things in my business I resist the most is like, I guess like the client work behind the scenes. And maybe that is because I'm not seen doing the work. I don't know, but like programming and stuff, like all the tedious little things where I'm like tweaking their training programs and stuff like that. Like I resist that. And maybe it's because no one knows I've done it because it's behind the scenes, but I love like content creation and obviously everyone sees my content. So
Yeah.
that might come back to that too.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
You're welcome. Rebecca, Steve, do you want to go?
Yeah, I can jump in there.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite similar to Ashley's on the way through, but I just had a little tip, maybe Ashley, if there's any business awards you can enter, that might be a good little driver as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Cool.
Yeah, our business got Tiny House of the Year award, so that's yeah, tick those boxes quite highly. So yeah. So mine was, after making an impact, mine was probably actually more around, like you say, the reason I want to do that is it kind of came full circle into being good, make parents proud, you know, financially wealthy, freedom, all those other things, feeling successful, having no stress, further down, prove that I'm worthy. I went through a time when I was earning really good money straight out of school, more money than my parents had ever earned in their life, and they were just like, that's ridiculous that you're earning that much money. And I was working my tail end off, and so I think I held on to that for several years, thinking I wasn't worthy of that financial reward. So that's always sat in the back. And then why, again, just enjoying life, happiness, that I can finally rest. I can finally stop trying to prove that I am a good girl and that I am worthy, and trying to get praise. And the philosophy in our family has always been, you work hard for, you know, to achieve. So my father's a builder, so the, you know, hours and hours of working, you have to work to earn, has been a big one. Yeah, even things like I would have in high school, I'd have other friends' parents go, oh, because such a good girl, I'm so glad you're friends with her. And I would, you know, be pleased to hear that kind of thing too. So same as that praise and being a good girl. There's probably my why.
All right. Steve?
Yes. Wow. You know, I've done an awful lot of work and had a lot of experiences around the why. And, you know, I don't know how much you want me to go into, but, Josh, one thing that you said, the idea of peace, you know, within yourself and with the world, that has been a theme going all the way back. And I just have had some pretty unique experiences. And, you know, and the first of which, and I don't want to, you know, again, you can keep asking questions if you want, but if you're going back to like the earliest experience of, say, a contrast between peace and like violence, and peace really not just the absence of conflict, but people flourishing, you know, people living into the fullness of who they can be, and things being right, you know, in the world and with you. And so I had this weird coincidence where my first birthday was on the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Again, it's totally weird, but that got documented and told to me as a young child, to the point where I used to have nightmares about that Zapruder film and stuff like that. And so I remember being 10, 11, 12 years old. And the other thing that was happening at that time when I was growing up was, MLK's assassination. Every night at our dinner table, my folks were watching the Vietnam War was coming in on the TV while we're eating dinner. And I grew up in a small, very, very small, peaceful place. So it just hit from as early as I can even remember the contrast between, violence and people that are suffering in the world and me having, been, the luxury of relatively peaceful life and circumstance. So I just had from an early time just a sense of like I've been given a gift, in certain ways to be able to give away to people that aren't experiencing that. So that just it goes back like beyond way back. And then I've worked in places like Ireland and Zimbabwe and Senegal and refugees from former Yugoslavia and all these different things I've had early in my career working peacemaking in these conflict zones and people coming out of conflict. And so anyway, so that part is really deep and clear and consistent. And again, this is beyond the scope maybe this thing, but where I wrestle all is that that I can't serve in that way and be okay, and have wealth, right? That was the friction point, because a lot of that work that I did was, was almost like volunteer work. I spent a lot of my life just working just, enough to get by, like doing great things, very satisfying, rewarding things, but not a financial reward necessarily. And so that is something coming to grips with later in my life of like, can I live into the fullness of my purpose, really be who I am, and have enough money to flourish financially, like really, and so that's really the friction point. And so it pulls me into thinking I got to be something I'm not, because if I'm who I really am, I'm just going to be broke, and survive the whole way. So that's really the rub for me. It's not necessarily knowing about my why, but I allow myself to get pulled out of it because of this other thing related to money. So anyway, I don't know. I'm going to stop there. Like I don't mind talking about this, but I don't want to go on and on. Yeah.
That's all right. Thank you for sharing that. It's around reframing what that belief is for yourself in terms of, you can't have one without the other. Okay. All right. That's for another session, that one.
Another session for you. It's like deep. There's a lot.
All right, let's move on. So did you all get something out of that? Yeah, all clearer. Good stuff. As I say, you know all this anyway. It's just within you, right? It's just about pulling it out. Going to move into now your purpose. I think we've got half an hour left. So move into your purpose. And there's a lot of talk around purpose and being purpose driven, and obviously being purposeful and purpose driven is about your contribution to others. But I like to touch into more around Dharma, which is kind of more of a spiritual way of looking at your purpose. And it comes from Buddhism and Hinduism. It's kind of a mix, and it's about it's more around the universe and what your greater impact and your higher purpose from a universal perspective. So it's a deep pull towards certain goals and the passions you have, and it's a sweet spot where you're naturally good at something, you love what you're doing, and you're helping others. And it all comes together in this place where it feels really true to you and really meaningful. And this is tapping back into the whole Viktor Frankl piece again, like tapping into that true meaning from within. So it's really about unearthing this inner wisdom in yourself. And I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to write these down again for yourself, because this is really going to help you. And then at the end of this, and you won't be able to do it in this session, but you'll be able to take what you've written down today And you'll basically be able to take it and put it into chat GPT and ask it to come up with a powerful statement around your why and your purpose for you, so that you have something that you can look at and refer back to. And it will always be this guide for you, this central point. So I want you to ask yourself, what are you great at? And so think of your strengths, your skills, and the things that people naturally come to you for. It might even be the things that people say about you. Because sometimes those things that people say about you, you can't actually see yourself or see it in yourself, but it's what they think of you, or what they think you're great at. So what are you great at? And put your hands up when you're done. Ashley's done, Steve's done. Josh. You done, Rebecca? Yeah, good stuff. Okay. What were you put on this planet to do? So I want you to really just think of this as a total, like, blank canvas for yourself. What were you put here to do? No limits, no fears, no financial concerns. What would you dedicate your life to? Each of these questions is painting this picture for you. This is about the stuff that lights you up, that really gets you firing. Put your hands up when you're done. Steve's done. Josh. Yeah, good stuff. What would you like to be remembered for? So if someone's speaking about you in 50 years' time, what is it that you'd like them to be saying? And this is tapping into the ego a little bit, but it's more around how you can turn that into the benefit for others. So what would you like to be remembered for? Hands up when you're done. Yeah. What burning question never leaves the back of your mind? What are things that you research, obsess over? Mine is so simple on this. The thing that is always in my mind is what's next, always. What's it for you? What burning question never leaves the back of your mind? Hands up when you're done. Okay. What problems do you consistently see in the world and think there must be a solution to that? What do you get irritated over? What do you wish you could change or fix? Make it different. Put your hands up when you're done. What topic of conversation just gets you going? What do you love to talk about? What do you get really excited talking about? It's kind of that thing, like if I was to shut you in a room for 30 minutes just to talk at me about something, what would that be? Put your hands up when you're done. Now, when you think of each of those, or the answers to each of those questions, how aligned would you say you are to your purpose? If each of those things make up your purpose and you're doing or working towards all of them, how aligned would you say you are? Let's go to chat bar. 100%. Or is this a new one? Excellent. Becca, Ashley. Cool. Josh, 90. Excellent. Okay. So what you can do is, I'm going to go back to the one before, but you can bring this into, so you can bring, as I say, each of your answers of what you've done for your why and for your purpose. And you can, as I say, you can go into ChatGPT and you can come up with a powerful statement for yourself. So this is my powerful statement with the two combined. So I seek to inspire and empower ambitious, quiet achievers to challenge the status quo, break through limiting beliefs, and create a simple, scalable business that gives them the freedom, impact, and success that they've desired on their terms. Yeah. So if I always go back to these things, and each of them means something. So the quiet achievers bit goes back to my why. Yeah, goes back to me being little and always feeling like, you know, bottom of the class and really trying to, you know, keep up. Then the challenge, the status quo, is about me not wanting to be a sheep essentially, and just forging your own path and going things about your own way. So when you think of yours and bring yours together, what would the statement be for yourself that could encompass all of this, that you can always go back to this as your point of reference essentially to ask where you're at. Steve, 85 today, it changes. Absolutely, it changes a lot. As I say, sometimes you'll be right on track and other times you won't, but this is just the way that you can actually pull yourself back on track. Now, one of the things I want to go through now, and we got a few minutes to do this, and this is really important because today we've gone through a lot, and even if you're 100%, like what Ashley was saying, there's still things there that are pulling you back into the stuff that you do that you don't necessarily like doing. So what are the things that you can let go of? So if we take this and we're going to review now and we're going to reset so that you can come out of the session with a clear idea over exactly how you can be even more aligned to this and have more energy and more time. So we'll start in the top left. So what are you going to let go? So what are the actions, the mindsets, the habits that you need to release or that are holding you back from not aligning with your goals? So Steve, with you were saying about this belief around the fact of, you know, you can't basically do all of this giving and be financially free or have the, you know, be, I say successful in that way, but you can't have both. Yeah. So maybe that's something that you need to work on beyond this, which is to break through what that belief is so it can set you free. So think about the things that you're going to let go as a result of understanding more about yourself from today. And you can just bullet point here if there's 1 or 2 points. Because the reality is, no matter how aligned we are, there's always more, right? There's always more that we want, always more that we're going towards, that we want to achieve. So how can we make that easier for ourselves? How can we not make it as hard? Okay. Now we're going to go to cutting back. So this is the bottom left. What activities or distractions are taking up too much of your time and energy with helping you progress towards being aligned with your true purpose or being more purposeful, operating more in that space? What activities or distractions are taking up your time? So zapping your energy essentially. So it might not be things that you're letting go of fully, but it's things that you're not going to put so much focus or effort into. Once you're done on that, put your hand up for me. Rebecca, Josh, yeah. Ashley's done. Steve's done. Now we're going to go to the bottom right, leaning in. What habits or actions did you fully embrace? What can you do more of? It's going to help you to reach your goals. How are you going to align more with those core values that you've got within you? So this is the whole thing about cutting back on some things to make space for some of the things that you're already doing that you can do more of. Hands up when you're done on that. Cool. And we're going to go to the top right. So what are the actions to pinpoint exactly what the new behaviours and actions that you need to start to do that's going to take you closer, even closer to your why and your purpose. This is about new things. So if you think, go back to the purpose questions on there, then you may have answered them in terms of where you're at. But when you look at that blank canvas question, which is if there was no, you know, not worrying about anything, finances or anything holding you back, what would be the new things? What would be the next level of that? Hands up when you're done. All good. Good stuff. Good stuff. So firstly, I just want to say thank you for all being incredibly vulnerable and digging deep on this. We'll go around the grounds. What was your biggest takeaway, Rebecca?
Pretty much just that I'm on the right track and I've got to stop trying to do it all myself. So I have to engage the people to come and help me with things that I am probably doing too much of, so I can do more of the content and more of the knowledge sharing and networking and things that I'm kind of hiding behind the stuff that's got to get done.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Josh?
So the name of my company is Living Freely, and it's a finance company. It has no tie to finance, but it has every tie to the why and the purpose that we talked about today.
Yeah.
And so really trying, when I'm helping people, trying to connect with them from that perspective, from a finance perspective, that's what I'm doing, but helping them find their freedom and their, like, their, yeah, I guess their freedom, their why, their connection from that perspective of living freely with their money, making that connection there.
Yeah. The little bit of thought, do you think, needs to go into that to do more of that?
What's that?
So a little bit of thinking into that in terms of how you can build that up more.
Yeah, I think it's more like energetically just trying to connect with people when I'm on a call, like as opposed to just solving their surface problems, trying to hear their underneath problems and then trying to solve those underneath from a monetary perspective, you know, from a finance perspective, but understanding that underlying why.
Yeah.
And then my post as well, making sure I'm connecting with people from that perspective, so I bring the right people in.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
Ashley?
I think the biggest thing is that I can probably help people more when I have the space and energy to do that. So probably making some adjustments to my delivery that don't make me feel free, that make me feel kind of trapped, so that I do have that space and energy and freedom, because that's a lot of what my why was about.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. And Steve?
Yeah, well, this is different from the usual workshop, so I'm always amazed, to be, I mean, thanks for creating, a kind of a safe space, and you guys, just to be open about the more inner struggles that we all have our version of. So that's always just a great reminder that I'm not the only one. It's great, we're all trying to figure it out. And then I think just the one quote that you said, that at least this is how I wrote it down, like, your why won't change, you are you, allow yourself to own that. And I think that's where I get shaky sometimes. I think I got to be something different in order to accomplish certain other things, but just trusting, like, own, who I am. And just trust is going to work out, do the things, and working on some of those beliefs around that and everything. But that, especially that, allow yourself to own that hit me pretty powerfully tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's it then. Thank you very much for sharing and for allowing yourself to go deep on this. It's good, and hopefully you've got something out of here now, so you can always refer back to this. And as I say, this is when you can really articulate these things about yourself and what you're here for and what it is that you're doing. Whenever you're hitting that shaky ground, and it doesn't matter if you feel like you're on your ass or if you're turning over $2 million, it doesn't matter. It still comes back to the point of, if you're feeling uneasy in it and it's not feeling good to you, always go back to this point and ask yourself if you're on track with it, because there will be points in the journey where you're not, and then there'll be other points where you're absolutely on fire. So just want to try and keep you on fire as much as we can. Good stuff. All right then, guys, that's it from me. Have an amazing day. If you got any questions, reach out.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Creative.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.